What about businesses where perhaps they're older, perhaps they're heritage, perhaps they've been around for a while, and they also now need to inject some creativity into what they're doing? It's going to be a difficult thing for businesses who perhaps they're already maybe even bigger than a $1.4 billion company, but they have to risk it to get the biscuit.
100%. And they have an uphill challenge because if you're that big and that well known, you're known for a reason and people already have an idea of who you are. So someone when they take jabs, they can take jabs at Coke. They've got nothing to lose. But now how does Coca-Cola come back, right? Through creativity, through campaigns. And as you mentioned, right, that's a bigger challenge.
Yeah, look, I've worked for a heritage brand that was pretty much at the pinnacle. FTSE company, huge, multi-billion dollars, bigger than Liquid Death. And you constantly having challenges coming in. And it was always a battle for me to talk to people a bit higher up the chain in the C-suite and say to them, look, you're getting sniped and you're getting slashed, and it's death by 1,000 cuts when you're at the top. You're not going to die overnight unless you do something absolutely astronomically stupid.
Yeah.
But you can get brought down and gradually knocked down that ladder unless you get out there and you do creative things. And looking at some of the creative campaigns that mentioned some big brands earlier. One of the creative campaigns that I was looking at was one of the biggest brands in the world, but I thought it was a very interesting one, and you can dissect it in so many different ways. But from last year, this was a big campaign from last year, and it was Grimace's birthday. And I'm sure you saw it. It was taken from this idea of bringing back a nostalgia character and adding a product line that was based around all sorts of things. It was meals, and it was also the Grimace shake, and it was the Grimace shake which got everyone's attention, and it went viral. And now McDonald's claims that they had nothing to do with it going viral, and that they attributed, and when you look at the head of the guy there, said that it was attributed to a TikToker. And at the end of the day, it was all set up for it. Mm-hmm. So even if they didn't press that button, which I think they probably did, but even if they didn't press that button to push the user-generated content, well, they haven't they? Because they've created the whole campaign, they've created the product line around it, they've brought back a nostalgia character, which perhaps the younger people don't recognize. Yeah. Perhaps the older ones are like, "Oh my gosh!" Right? Yeah. I remember this character from when I was a kid. It's all teed up perfectly for that user-generated content. And if you haven't seen the campaign, I mean, what rock were you living under? But it was this idea that, and certainly the videos which captured everyone's attention was that people would drink the Grimace shake and say that they were fine, and then suddenly there would be a horror scene. They'd be collapsed on the floor with the shake dribbling out their mouth or whatever it happened to be. And this was very interesting because not only was it a successful creative campaign, you looked at the results of McDonald's after this, and it led to very, very strong earnings and a huge performance for McDonald's. This is a big company already, and they managed to generate even more out of it. Billions saw it, millions engaged with it, and most critically for the business, millions went and bought this product to generate revenue. So I thought it was a brilliant campaign in many ways, from kind of, I guess, baiting that UGC, baiting the user generated content.
Well, what do you think made it so sticky?
I think that the aspect of nostalgia for older customers, and then what's this character for the younger ones, but also when you think of these characters, people like characters to share. If you look at the history of brands, they've often been mascots.
Yeah.
Things that people recognize.
Yeah.
They were moving away from that idea of being just Ronald McDonald and bringing back some of these peripheral characters. I thought it was very clever in that regard.
I think also what makes what made it gain a lot of traction for UGC, similar to like the McDonald's versus Burger King idea, right? Is the ability for, when you say user generated content, it was easy for the user to create that content, right?
Yes.
It was as simple as going and buying a Big Mac and a McWhopper. It was as simple as buying this product to do these videos at home, right?
Which is why I think it was teed up for it.
And it was let people, unleash their creativity. How are they going to do their video with that product, right? How are they going to assemble their McWhopper or whatever it is? And I think that's very important as well.
And I think that must have been very hard to sell in is, look, we are going to put the power in the hands of the people. We're going to allow the creativity of the people who come and buy our products. And when you're McDonald's, you have a big advantage, right? You've already got billions of people around the world who buy at McDonald's on a regular basis. So you've already got a massive audience, and it just takes a few to get really creative with something for it to go.
To pick up.
But the people within McDonald's knew that. They knew that by setting things up in a certain manner, by creating those visual cues, by having the great branding of the product and the packaging and all this that goes with it, as well as bringing back the characters themselves, that they were teeing themselves up for people to just unleash their creativity, which I thought was brave and clever. Yeah,
I mean, but again, I'm sure that's the one that we saw, right? I'm sure there were 9 others that they tried and didn't work also.
And that's 100% right, is that for all the ones you remember, there are going to be a number that you don't. And that's where it takes a brave person to firstly invest in it, but it also takes a brave person to kill something. Yeah. If it's not working, why keep pumping money into something? And it's a very good point when it comes to creative campaigns. You can put the money in, the effort into it, and if it's not sticky, you do have to make that call that this one isn't working. Let's switch tact. It doesn't have to be a complete 360, or 180 or whatever it is. It can be a slight diversion into a different direction, but you do have to make that brave call.